Good morning, it's Michelle Green again, or should I say good afternoon? It's 12:34. It's Wednesday, November 30th. Today I want to touch upon NAN, which is the National Action Network. I met a Don Tolliver back in 2018, 2019 while I was living in Florida. I was in West Palm, and for some odd reason, I could not get to any of the members or leadership within the vicinity that I was living. So I reached out to Tallahassee, which I was able to speak with someone. Over the NAN in Tallahassee is a Reverend Holmes, a Reverend Dr. R.B. Holmes at the Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Tallahassee, Florida. I shared with him what I was going through. He said he'd get back to me, but I actually drove up to Tallahassee and I met with him face to face. He didn't sit down with me. He directed me to a Don Tolliver. He said he was handling all National Action Network business. In lieu of me driving the entire day to speak with him because it was an emergent matter, I spoke with Don Tolliver, not that day, but eventually, and shared with him what was going on. I sent him documents. He had his way of validating. He said this stuff seemed to be valid and that he could not help me from West Palm Beach. That actually, and I'd gone from West Palm Beach to a different part of, to Sunrise, Florida, that I needed to move to Tallahassee in order for him to help me. He had attorney generals there, FBI, direct contact with he could help. And because I was being hit and attacked on a daily, I decided to up and move. I up and moved there with the little bit I had left. And then Don Tolliver stopped doing anything. I had to purchase a new phone, which I did through Don Tolliver. He said that National Action Network had a IT person, and he had someone working with him, a Patrick Holmes. So I gave Patrick funds to purchase a computer and a phone for me. Patrick Holmes said that the equipment was brand new. The computer was not brand new. Patrick lied. The computer also was downloading my documentation and my company information and sending it someplace else. To this date, I don't know because the police wouldn't touch it, and I've got no answers from NAN. Also, my computer has never been returned, which I requested to speak with Mr. Sharpton about the situation, and to date, that's been up in the air. But also, I got absolutely no help. All I needed was an attorney because of the cyber crimes. I was seeing nothing, and during COVID, everything was shut down. No one was coming to the office or their office, and in order for me to speak with someone, I needed to confirm that they were them, and also some sort of workaround because phone calls weren't going where they were supposed to be going, including my emails, also my snail mail too. Moving fast forward, I connected to I called in and I was directed to call in by one of the non-representatives to call in on one of their lines, and Mr. Michael Hardy was overseeing the lines in reference to community members, citizens calling in needing help from police. Everybody got an attorney but me. I got the general counsel of the National Action Network and the co-founder, Mr. Michael Hardy. When I didn't understand because he doesn't deal with police brutality. He doesn't deal with any of the issues that I was dealing with, but the other attorneys deal with this on a daily basis, but he was very adamant that he could assist me. There's a video on it. It's out on the web. We spoke shortly after the video conference, and he said that he had a contact in the FBI. He was going to reach out to him and speak with him. I waited over 2 months and finally got an answer. And Mr. Hardy told me that I just needed to search my home more closely to make sure there was nothing. I asked him about the police reports, how bank accounts have been disappearing, police are not investigating anything, the attacks, it just goes on and on. Mr. Harding said nothing, and later on stated that it was my illusion that I had a mental issue. He also shared this to a third party, which is far from the case. I want to preface the fact that my ex has been paying. As I was completing my sentence, frankly, there were so many oddities with people from NAN. To this date, I understand it, but I'm not going to say it. I think actions speak louder than words. But Mr. Hardy started calling me crazy with documentation, with police stating something's not right here, but they couldn't touch it. With his own attorney, Mr. Endeman, I spoke with by way of another director at NAN who had left, but he gave me a document stating that I am dealing with high levels of crime, which include police brutality, police, citizens. He just listed it out, and the interesting thing was I never mentioned anything to him, but he knew. I'm also aware when I walked into NAN's office, on my last time I drove up to NAN trying to get help. That's how desperate I am for trying to seek out help. I walked in the building and people knew who I was. There's part of the crimes where they're sending out stuff by way of cell phones. And people knew me. People knew me at the gas station, which is where individuals park, a couple doors down. I drove all the way to New York on the last of my dime, slept in the damn car, thinking that this was my hope. And I was amongst wolves and should have known that when Don Tolliver and Patrick Holmes had a field day with me. Patrick Holmes, I found out, is not a non-representative at all. I never got my computer. There was never a sit down. I've gone to the police about it, absolutely nothing. And I want to clarify, I said earlier that in reference to my information, I don't know where it went. My information was being downloaded. I had copies that I provided to Shadyville Police, Detective Sauls, who did nothing with it, that was going to the Bahamas remotely. It was going to Jacksonville, Florida, which I've never been to, remotely. It was going to several different places that I had documented, and Detective Sauls did absolutely nothing. When I reached out to his superiors, they said to me, Detective Sauls is doing more than any other officer or police person has done to help you out in lieu of what you're in. So another confirmation of what I'm in involves police. I also had a representative from NAN, and I don't recall her name right now. She's a counselor, but she's also a reverend, I believe it is, who advised me that what I'm going through they do to black women. Marines United, Crimes, Police, she was telling me there's this situation going on where a lot of women of color were coming through NAN's doors with the same situation that I had, except a lot of women were turning to suicide, alcohol, drugs, because no one was believing them, and it was hard for them to keep together, and it is a very difficult thing. She said, so she was in agreement as to what was going on with me. She also advised that nothing was happening with me. I had my mental faculties in check. However, a family member spoke with her, total opposite. She said I was loony, didn't know what the hell I was talking about. It just went the entire gamut. My experience with NAN was beyond comprehension. I even had NAN members calling me, stating they read about my profile through NAN's records and they might be able to help me. A total waste of time. Another NAN member telling me that the crimes that have been done are not criminal crimes, but civil. Blatant lie. I know better than that. Hell, police who don't want to get involved have told me these are criminal crimes. And I have a third party there who can testify to that and more. I can go on and on about NAN. It made no sense about Patrick. I have never received my equipment, never received an apology. Michael Hardy lied in so many different ways. You have a Michael Hardy, co-founder and general counsel for NAN, telling me these are not crimes. Yet you have attorneys for NAN who volunteer and they pick up your case telling me these are serious crimes. And I know that they are because others have told me that. So there's an issue with Mr. Michael Hardy. And as I stated, I've been repeatedly trying to reach Mr. Sharpton, Mr. Al Sharpton. I am owed that considering what your company has taken me through or your organization. There's more that they've done, but just in a nutshell to present to you, hopefully we can get a meeting and discuss this further. But a black woman come into your organization for help with the droves of evidence in her hand. And instead, it just seems like your people jumped on the bandwagon with my ex, and it makes no sense because I can't reason otherwise. I just can't. Maybe you can help me out, but I'm owed a phone call at the least. So hopefully you'll get this message soon and we can speak. Thank you.